Just keep in mind that our last video has 35,000 views, babe, and you want to look good.
What is that supposed to mean?
I'm just saying, keep that in mind. There's going to be a lot of people watching this. A lot of people are interested.
Just that day specifically, so it's a pretty big, life-changing day.
Don't worry about the copyright, guys, because it's us.
By the way, you guys don't mind my hair. It's wet. I didn't feel like letting it dry and stuff, so, you know.
You guys.
You gotta turn that off.
My name is Billy D, and this is Somali. Alright, guys, what up?
Hey.
You could probably do this a couple different ways, but this is part two of our interracial relationship
What did we
story.
title the last one?
Let me see right here. Before we told my parents about our relationship, interracial relationship.
So this is gonna be the day that we told my parents.
And what did that look like? So if you guys want to go see part one, hit the link. It's down below, and you'll definitely hear our story. It's a pretty unique story. Sorry for getting part two out so late, but here it is nonetheless.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna talk about when we actually told her parents about me.
We have a vlogging channel. Our kids are usually with us, but they're sleeping. So if you want to see them, go to a vlog. But all right, we're gonna get right into it. The day we told my parents. We were not like living together. I was living at my parents' house at the time. Billy was at his parents' house. We had just gotten an apartment. I don't know if we explained that in the previous one.
Well, we should have did our homework.
Yeah, we probably should have watched our old video. Anyways, we didn't do that. Before we told my parents, we did like get an apartment and stuff. So we had preparations for the day we told my parents. So we kind of had led up to this, which you could watch in the last video. Anyways, so the day we told my parents, I went to work. I had told a lot of people at work that I was going to tell my parents that day to hold me accountable because I didn't want to go into work the next day and then be like, so what happened? Like, oh, I didn't tell them. So it kind of a way for me to not chicken out because, you know, it was a rough day. And I went to work, came home. I told my parents that I need to talk to them. And in our house, we don't do that. We don't say we need to talk, like we need to talk or anything. It's just not normal. So I think at that moment, my parents knew something was up. So I told them that I want to marry a guy. And they were like, well, what do you mean? And I told them he was American. They were like, what do you mean? And then I told them he was black. And it was like, whoa, what? So there was a lot of frustrations. There was a lot of anger, a lot of questions. My parents just to be completely honest, there were a lot of things said that probably shouldn't have said, probably weren't meant, but out of anger and frustration, they were said. And at the end of the day, I had to remind myself, and Billy did a really good job of reminding me, like, okay, when you go into this, remember, this is their first time hearing about our relationship. This is like a whole new thing, out of their tradition, out of their culture, out of their norm. So I kind of went into the mindset of like, okay, I need to try to understand where they're coming from.
Let me give you guys a little bit of context too. So we were dating for, when did we start dating? 2009, we told them in 2012. So we were dating for 3 years before we told them, 2009, 10, 11, 12. So almost 4 years, right? And we had kept the relationship a secret. So this is just a quick context. They didn't know about us. And Hamali, the reason that she wanted to move out the day that she told them about us was because she knew the environment would not be comfortable for her after she told them about me. Well, she didn't know that, but she thought that the environment wouldn't be comfortable and she wouldn't be comfortable there after she told them about us. This was a big risk for her. This was a big judgment. This is where, hindsight being 2020, we might have been able to handle things differently, but we handled things for what we thought would be the best for our relationship. And for her relationship with her parents, we felt like the most calculated risk for us to do was for her to move out of the house when she told her parents. So there was a lot of emotions going through on this day, right? Like, to her point, she told people at work, everybody else in the world knew about me and Hamali except her parents. So we knew that this was going to be a huge shock. We knew that they probably weren't going to be accepting of it, not necessarily because I was just black, but just because, one, I wasn't Indian, and two, they had no idea of this, right? So like, they didn't know we were dating for 4 years. They didn't know our relationship was healthy and good. They didn't know anything about us. So everything hit them like a ton of bricks, and emotions flared on both sides, where if I was that parent, now that I have 2 kids and my kids 18 years old come to me and say, I'm moving out of the house, I am in love with this individual, and you know, I've been dating them for the last 5 years, that I wouldn't know how to respond or react to that. Like, are you effing kidding me? Like, I wouldn't know how to respond. So you know, there's definitely emotions on both sides, but that was what we felt we had to do to continue our relationship the way that we saw our relationship unfolding.
And I think it was also, like he said, we were young, that was just what we thought was best, because looking back, would I have done things differently? Probably, especially now that I have my own kids and thinking about how I would want them to act. But we didn't, and that's just how it went. Just to kind of give you more detail about the day, Billy was actually waiting outside in the parking lot. I had that morning, or even that past week, I had started packing things up slowly, and that morning I put all of like the packed stuff, I had packed my car basically, and that morning before I went to work without my parents knowing, I had packed the car. So when we had this kind of discussion, this blowout, everyone was kind of just really, really emotional. I said, you know, just meet him once. And my mom was like, nope, I don't want to meet him. I don't want to see him. And my dad was like, I don't know. He wasn't really crazy about that idea either. But my dad went out, shook his hand, and said, you know, it's not you. It's just different cultures, different everything. It was completely different for him. So, yeah, they had like a really quick chat.
Came up to me and he said, hey, this isn't, it has nothing to do with you, it's a culture thing. Like, and at that time I don't think he realized that she was moving out, like, so he didn't really.
Oh right, I hadn't mentioned that yet.
Yeah, he didn't realize. So he came up to me and he just said, you know, it's a culture thing, nothing against you, I talk to any kind of people, I'm friendly with any kind of person, but it's just a culture. Like, we're different culturally, and this is something we just have to get used to. Which was okay. I mean, you know, he was a stand-up individual. Her dad's always been a great guy, and so is her mom, a great woman. But yeah, you know, it was a shock. It was different, and they were actually, the reason it was a shock is like a week before, 2 weeks before, he was looking for guys for Hamali to meet that were Indian, right? Like, he was trying to set Hamali up as an arranged marriage. Yeah. Not an arranged marriage, but like introduce her to some other Indian males, right. Which, you know, so his whole paradigm got shifted. So. But yeah, it was a good conversation. I was really happy that he came out and spoke with me and shared with me that. Yeah.
So then I went back inside, and I think we kind of went back and forth again. Basically, the main idea that they were portraying to me is why this is not a good idea was because what are people gonna say, and like, how are we supposed to show our face to people? Just kind of like concerned about what their community, like their friends and their family were gonna think, because if you guys don't know, in the Indian culture, that's family and friends are like everything. That, you know, people really, really care about their little community, which they should. So that was kind of said a lot, and at that point I was just like, I really only care about what you guys think. And that was kind of like the back and forth of, what are people gonna say? Well, I only care what you say, what you think, that type of thing. And it was just a lot of emotions. I'm not gonna quite get into that because it was very personal, very, you know, and it's different for everyone. So just because that happened to me, just because my situation was like this, I'm not saying anyone else is the same, or your situation will be the same.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, from what I've gathered about, you know, different cultures and the Indian culture specifically, is what Hamali was alluding to is like relationships, and reputation is so important in that community, right? Now, reputation is important everywhere, no matter what community you go to. So I want to talk about that. But with their community, they were concerned because this hasn't been done often, right? So like, they're trailblazers. Her parents are trailblazers. They're the first of their friends, or the first of their family.
Well, at that point, no one. There was no one that had.
That they probably knew of, right?
Yeah.
Nobody, and especially like, it's not a common thing to see an African American with an Indian person, right? Like, it's becoming more common now.
Yeah.
Or because it's just different. So they're really trailblazers. I mean, when you think of it in media, you don't see it a lot in media. They definitely don't see it over in Bollywood because they watch a lot of Indian television, Indian movies. You don't see this dynamic there. So this is something that they're literally becoming the first wave of grandparents, or the first wave of parents that are going through this, and they don't know how to, they didn't know what that would look like. What is that? Because you just don't know what it looks like. It's scary. It's something different.
Not even a cultural barrier. There was a huge language barrier they were also concerned about. Is even though, yes, my parents speak English, they don't. Well, my mom, she says she doesn't speak it very well. She does, but she just doesn't have the confidence. She doesn't speak English enough, and she felt like she couldn't communicate. She wanted to be able to communicate with my husband or her grandkids. So that was kind of their main concern, is how am I supposed to communicate with his family? How am I supposed to communicate with your kids in the future? And which was totally valid.
It's a big concern, right? When you think about language, and that's such a big part of their culture, and they're proud of their language, and how do you connect? So how am I supposed to connect with them? And they didn't even know at the time if I would like Indian food or what kind of individual I was. So there's a lot of just racing emotions and thoughts, and there's that. So that was the day we told our parents, and it did not go great. She told her parents inside the house. Her dad came out and met me. They come back inside the house, and she hits them with the, I'm moving out.
Yeah, I go back in, and I was like, well, things have like kind of started to settle down, and then I was like, well, I'm also leaving. And they were like, wait, what? And I don't think at first they thought I was serious, like I'm really leaving. And I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. I think they probably thought I was like gonna be back later or tomorrow or something. They don't think they realize I'm like for good. So my dad even came out in the parking lot and was like, you're really leaving? Like right now? And I was like, yeah, I'm leaving. Like, you mean like you're going? I was like, yes. So yeah, I left. I cried all the way to, we stopped at Billy's parents' house real quick and cried all the way there. And then we went to our apartment. I don't remember. Did we have a chat with your parents? I assume we did. Were they home?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't remember. But I just remember being an emotional wreck. We went to our apartment for the first night. Yeah, it was a really, really hard and emotional and just like heartbreaking day. But I will say that after I got that off my shoulders, I felt very free. I felt like, whew, okay, I can breathe. I don't have to hide anything anymore. I can just be who I am at all times, around my parents, around my friends. Because before then I felt like I was living a little bit of a double life and just felt good to be one Hamali in front of my parents and my friends. Like, it was so nice.
One thing I would say for the people who are watching this video because they're going through a similar situation is you can't expect anybody to react the way that you want them to react, right? And so Hamali made her choices, and she can't expect her parents to accept me, right? That's not fair. You can't project the way that you think somebody should act upon that person, because they have their set of reasons of why they're going to react a certain way. So you can't expect anything. All you can do is follow your heart, take calculated risks, make sure you're making smart decisions, and saying, hey, is the risk worth the reward for me, right? Like, is this what I want? Like, is this something that I'm really invested in and something that I truly believe in, and stand by that? And hindsight being 2020, moving out immediately was drastic. That was a big drastic change. However, she felt that was something that she needed to do at that particular time. So that's something that she wanted to do. And sometimes you're gonna have to make those hard decisions, right? And,
and I just want to make sure you guys know this wasn't like a decision we made like
it was
like
4 years.
it was a long time in the coming.
It was 4 years.
Right. And the reason why I decided to leave the house right away is because I knew that my parents were going to kind of like panic and kind of put me in like shutdown mode. Like, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, we're gonna keep an eye on you at all times. And I just,
you thought they were gonna
that's what I thought they were gonna do. Of course, I didn't know, but that was my assumption.
And some people are really still mad at her mom. I think some of her family members are still mad at her for the way she handled this choice, right?
Right.
But that was something that she, at the end of the day, right? Like, she's got family members who are upset she made the choice to be with me. She's got some family members who are upset with the way that she handled the situation. And, you know, it sucks 5 years later that people are still upset about that. But I will say, like, we also accept the fact that we can't dictate how somebody else feels. Like, we can be like, man, I can't believe you guys are still hung up on this 5 years later. Or, you know, and even when her parents are completely, I'm not gonna say they're completely fine with it, but they have made their amends with it, right? But we can't expect all of her family just to be warm to us, right? With that, because I can't tell anybody else how to react.
Yeah, and you know, you honestly, at the end of the day, you got to live your life, be happy, because if you're not happy, you can't make anyone around you happy. So I think that was kind of like my message out of that day, is just do what makes you happy. And at the end of the day, the people that care, the people that love you, that want to be there, they'll be there.
Yeah, and I think this is also, like, yeah, we're talking about it for interracial relationship, but I can also think about it for people who have disabilities, or people who are trying to come out of the closet, or people who just have different things going on in their life where they have different obstacles that they have to face, in different relationships that they have to come to terms with. And I think it takes courage, it takes thoughtful thinking, and it takes, probably, you're gonna make some mistakes, and you gotta be willing to accept those mistakes. But if they're mistakes that are pushing you forward, we call it failing forward, then make them. Make as many mistakes as you have to, but you own your happiness.
You own your happiness. And on that note, I think we're gonna call it.
Part 2. If you guys have any questions for a part 3, or like a current update, because then we want to tell you how her parents and I got good, right? So
that's going to be part 3.
Relationship building that took place.
Or just where we stand right now. Since telling them how we got to where we are and where we stand and all that, will be part 3 coming soon. Hopefully not as late as this.
Yeah. But with that being said, you guys, check out the vlog channel. And when all that good stuff. Well, check out the vlog channel. This is the vlog channel. Check out some of the vlogs.
Give us a big thumbs up if you liked what you saw today. Subscribe if you have not already, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace. You look really pretty.